Welcome to Big City, Small Town, the weekly podcast all about San Antonio and the people who make it go and grow. I'm your host, Bob Rivard. Biga on the Banks, a great restaurant long before San Antonio had very many great restaurants or much of a restaurant scene at all, turns a venerable 25 years old this month at its location at the former San Antonio Library, now International Center on the Riverwalk. It's a milestone few high-performing restaurants attain here or anywhere. Culinary excellence is a calling that requires passionate commitments from the chef, the owners, the bartenders, the key employees in the kitchen and the front of the house, serving and taking care of the guests. And in a business with very thin profit margins, it has to succeed as a business too. Biga has done it all, even as it served over the years as a springboard for some of San Antonio's most accomplished chefs who served their formative learning years alongside and under Chef Bruce Auden, who joins us in the Big City, Small Town studio today. And Bruce is joined by his business partner in front of the house, right hand, Perny Shea. Bruce and Perny, welcome to Big City, Small Town.
Glad to be here.
Thanks.
Well, we're excited to have you here, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, San Antonio's culinary history, as well as its contemporary situation, how we became a UNESCO city of gastronomy, the Biga origin story, and how the two of you came together from other restaurants in the city to form your long-lasting partnership. We want to hear about that too. But first things first, how are you guys going to celebrate this big anniversary?
Well, what we decided we wanted to do was something that would be more a celebration for our investors and regulars than for our staff. We'll probably do their party later or later that evening. So we will be closed to regular business for the evening, and we will have a fundraiser, and that's going to be benefiting the San Antonio Food Bank and St. Philip's Culinary and Hospitality School. So we felt that was a good combination to reach to people in our industry and people that can benefit from that. So that was the decision. They were both on board straight away that they would do that. So we'll be closed for the evening, and then
what evening are we talking about now?
The evening, April 22nd. It's Earth Day, and it's a Tuesday break right before Fiesta.
Okay.
And right after Easter. So it gives us a little breathing time there. And the whole dining room and private dining area will be put aside. There'll be chef stations, and we are asking all our alumni chefs to come in.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
When Bruce talks, I want to hear some of those names. But how many chairs is that, Perny? How many people can be seated for dinner?
We won't be seated, largely standing.
Okay.
Largely standing, mixing. We have got a few tables for sale at a premium just so that we can give more money to the beneficiaries, and also to give some of our older clientele a place to make their home for the evening.
You're not looking at me when you say that, are you?
I certainly did not, believe me.
Just checking.
But yeah, so that will be all the savory courses, probably about 8 chefs down there. And then we'll have a silent auction, all food and beverage related. And then go up to the 3rd floor. We have a wonderful room up on the 3rd floor that we rent from the city. We are city tenants because our building was the old public library.
That's right.
And so it has a huge deck outside, 2,500 square feet deck. And so that's lovely. You can be outside overlooking the river. And the most fun part of the evening, as far as I'm concerned, is we will be having a dance up there as a celebration. So pastry chefs will be up there. And then I think the best DJ in town, JJ Lopez, who's a program manager at KRTU.
That's right.
And is a super guy and does all soul and groove and funk. So that's going to be a blowout at the end of the evening.
Wow. So dinner, lots of chefs that you can meet and greet and hang out with, and then party and dance.
Dance it off.
And we want to go. So where do we and everyone else go to get a ticket?
I'm glad you asked. So just go to the Biga website on the homepage. There is a click here that will take you to an open table link, and all the tickets are booked through Open Table.
All right.
So then after we get all the money in, we hope, we will, take out just costs Obviously, we've got to pay staff, but I think a lot of our purveyors will actually give us product for 25 years of business. I think they can give us an evening.
Absolutely.
And then we'll just split it equally between Food Bank and St. Philip's.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that event, and I'll put the details in my newsletter for people listening that want to have a link or whatever to get to the tickets. But I want to share with our listeners first and people watching us on YouTube how you two came together and how you came to San Antonio. So who wants to go first with their origin story? Bruce?
How did I come here? Oh, yeah. So I came here to open the Fairmont Hotel. And that was back in like 1800s or something. I can't remember the exact date, but it was
in the 1980s, was it not?
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, I came here to open the Fairmont Hotel, which was a unique opportunity for me, and met a lot of great people from the kitchen who sort of went with me from the Fairmont to open the first Biga, which was in the Monte Vista area and on Locust Street. And we had a good run there. It was 9 years, which is, again, pretty good for a restaurant, you know.
I remember it well. You were in a historic house or a period home that had been converted to a restaurant and a bakery.
Yeah, my wife, Deborah, did the bakery at the back, and which was pretty cool. You could come in the back door for your breads and see the kitchen working from there. And then me and my manager, John, we run the dining room. And at that time, one of the chefs who's going to be with us that night, Mark Bliss, he was not only a chef there, but a source of amusement every day.
Guitarist, surfer.
Yeah.
Which Mark showing up today?
And then the city, as you said, Perny, for those of us that have been around quite a while, decided to build a new public library. And that became the city's so-called International Center on the Riverwalk. And that's where you guys moved early 2000s, Bruce? Or
yeah, we opened in, I can remember this because it was 2000, so I don't have to do any maths. We're 25 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So really, Biga's more than 25 years. You're just 25 in your current faith. That's a remarkable run in the restaurant business. It really is.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
No, I'm not going to. We're going to help you get on your way to the next 25. And
oh no, please.
Where
enough already.
Where did you move here from, Bruce?
I was in Dallas.
Okay.
No, I was in Dallas, and I went to Houston, and then recruited by the investor, the Fairmont, to come here.
Because I want to share with my readers that I came here for a job interview with the publisher of the San Antonio Light, a guy named George Irish, wonderful man who unfortunately passed away prematurely a few years ago. And, I was working and living and dining all over the world for Newsweek magazine, managing its bureaus all over the world. And I came here. My wife wanted to move back with our babies to Texas. And George took me to Polo's at the Fairmount for dinner. And I was quite surprised. I mentioned to him, George, I can eat anywhere in New York and all over the place. This is really good. And, at the time, I think the word Southwestern had just creeped into the culinary vocabulary. And then you came out and I met you at that dinner. And then I took the job and moved here in '89. And in December.
So you're saying I had something to do with that?
Well, I said to... you asked me in front of George what brought me to San Antonio. You won't remember this, but I remember kind of thinking, should I tell him the truth? And I said, well, I'm here for a job interview to become the deputy editor of The Light. And you walked away after a minute or two, and George goes, well, I guess I've got to give you the job now. You've told somebody, and everybody's going to hear about it. So,
oh, because he's such a big talker.
He was joking, but that was my first meal in San Antonio, almost 40 years ago, Bruce. So thanks for that.
Good story.
I hope George tipped well. And Perny, I want to hear your origin story.
Well,
how you got here.
I came to San Antonio originally as an exchange student. I was an AFS student.
What's that stand for?
American Field Service.
Okay.
So you get to come and live in America with a family for a year.
From where?
Well, I was from England also.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought that was
because you guys have funny Texas accents. Yeah.
Yeah. And my year was up in Independence, Missouri, and I came to San Antonio for 2 weeks, and it was Fiesta. And
Oh,
I
wow.
thought, now this is a lot more like it instead of Independence, Missouri.
What year was this, Perny?
That would have been 76.
Oh, wow.
The spring of 76, yeah. Because we got to stay a bit longer because it was bicentennial year. But yeah, so I decided if and when I came back to the States, it would be to San Antonio and not to Independence. And it was a very easy town to fit in. And it felt, like you say, it is a small town in lots of ways. I've never worked outside the loop, sorry, but this is the hood that I know and get to know a lot of people. And over the years, restaurant business, you meet a lot of people. At time, as you're younger, you're very good at remembering names and places and who you know from where. That may have slipped quite a bit recently, but I'd been managing different restaurants. I was at Josephine Street. I was at Luna Norte. So all well-known places in Loop, but very different styles. And then when Bruce was talking about Biga, we got together and thought it would be kind of fun to have another Brit. At least we'd get each other's jokes, and maybe some of the food we still most afternoons have a cup of tea, 3:30-ish.
How quaint.
Yeah, well, but Bruce is very cautious. He has a little tiny espresso one. I have a giant mug. But it's just been a terrific ride for us down on the river. It's our part of the river. It's a bit more serene. You're off that main loop. But we still get the benefit of the visitors who are here to have fun, the convention people who are doing their business. And for locals, we're often a very special event place. We do a lot of pre-theater and pre-show. But we're very lucky in that we have people that have worked with us for 25 years.
That's remarkable.
Actually
more.
You've got two from Old Biga, the GM and his main chef are from Old Biga. But to have those same people that you work with all the time and you know what's going on with people, you have such trust in how you're being represented and how people are being greeted and treated when they're there. So as I say, it's not world peace, but it's very good to know that people are happy with the way they've spent their money and have celebrated occasions with you that they'll remember for a long time.
I actually think your location where you're hanging out over the river, above the river, is much more civilized. When I have a nice meal, I really don't want a parade of people coming between my table and the water,
right.
which happens. And actually, one of the best kept secrets are the several tables that you have on that outdoor balcony, because they're above the fray, but they're beautiful on a good night of weather.
It's the best view of the Tower Life building too. So as the light changes at night, that has just a wonderful golden glow by the gargoyles. It's a terrific building, So you're looking at that one is lovely to be in the heart of the river.
The time I mentioned to Bruce when we first met him and I came for my first meal here in 1989, I actually moved here in December, and people of a certain age will remember that was one of the fiercest winters in contemporary history in San Antonio. It actually, it wasn't the biggest snowstorm they had in the 80s, but it was a very big snowstorm with snow on the ground. And I was living by myself in the Plaza San Antonio while my wife and the babies were back east still. And I would go to the Josephine Bar and Grill, which had been recommended to me, with my book, and you were the manager, and would let me have my supper and then sit there for 2 or 3 hours because it was warm in there, and read my book, and I had nothing else to do. So my Perny Shea story is almost as old as my Bruce Auden story, and it's great to see you both still thriving together.
And you probably met most of the local characters in San Antonio just by being at Josephine Street, because
if they weren't there, they were next door at Liberty Bar in the day.
Yep, that was a great combo.
Bruce, let's talk about the many people that you've mentored and those among them that will be at the anniversary dinner and manning a station or womaning a station. And I'd love to hear whether you could tell at a certain point that some of them had enough talent to go all the way to become their own chefs and chef owners.
Definitely, a lot of them could. Sometimes it's not the actual direction that people in the kitchen want to go to, because there's a lot more than just cooking when you have your own restaurant and being a chef. So some you could tell were going on to that, and it's great to see. And if somebody left and said, "Oh, I've got a better opportunity coming up, either as a sous chef or a chef," that was always great to hear. It made you feel good. You had to replace them, but and find someone else, but that was always good. Yeah, from the first Biga, I'm not going to remember everybody's name. When I started to make the list of all the people that have been through and now are still in the business, and I started off with 10, that's easy. And, oh yeah, and then there, and then somebody else to say, remember so and so? Like, no, I don't remember that, but now I do. So there was so many to choose from, and the way we actually asked them to come back was, I just asked quite a few, and if they responded, and they all responded yes. If they responded, then great, you're in. And if the email bounced back or the phone number bounced back, it's like, oh, well, too late.
But they moved on.
Yeah. So who is coming? Let's see. Well, Mark Bliss, obviously, because Mark and I worked so long together, and he now has Bliss Restaurant.
Down in Southtown.
Yep.
Very popular, very successful.
Yes. And I think he's been there probably 13 years or something like that, maybe more.
I think they're 15.
15, yeah.
In what was a former abandoned service station.
Right?
Yeah. And he has
a beautiful space.
Similar way, I think, of operating a restaurant that I do, because so many of his staff have been there for so long, including Tony as chef. So he'll be there. Ski season's over, so he might be there. And then who do we have? We have Elise from Clementine. She worked when they first got to town, to when John was opening Luke, right? Yeah. She was looking for a pastry position because she'd been working in pastries for quite a while. So she worked with us for a little over a year. Robert Cantu.
Well, I would just say, if people have not been to Clementine or don't know about it, it's wonderful. It's in Castle Hills, which is not a culinary center, and it's actually in a strip center, so it's unassuming looking, but it's a superb place to go for dinner. And I only lament that after the pandemic, they didn't open back up for lunch, because it was a great lunch venue.
They do 1 or 2 a month. You've just got to stay.
Oh, do they?
Stay in tune with their Facebook and Instagram, because they will open up once or twice a month. I know they're going to do some during Final Four.
Oh, good.
And they'll also do afternoon teas on occasion.
Oh, well, there you go. That's near and dear to your heart.
Yes, it is.
So, okay, next.
And sometimes on that note, sometimes when you start having children, you cut down the hours.
Yeah.
It happens in a lot of restaurants. So Robert Cantu's coming. He's at one across from the Mansion. What they call it now?
Macara.
The Macara.
Yeah. Let's see. Jeff White.
Is that still a seafood restaurant, Bruce?
You know what?
Ostra.
Ostra,
yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They do well there.
Don't ask me about restaurants other than my own.
You go home at night.
Yeah, I do go home at night. Quite a way.
The Bryans.
Yes.
Brian Randolph.
Thank you.
From
Brian
Valencia.
Randolph at Valencia. He was our private dining chef for a number of years. Brian West, who has Brian West Catering. In fact, I just saw something on social media. He's doing his spring menu. I'm not sure where it is. It's one of his venues, and you can buy tickets online now, and it looked like a great menu.
Was Andrew Wiseman in your kitchen?
He's been in the kitchen, but he's never worked in it.
Okay.
So no, hopefully he'll be there as a guest, but he never worked through the kitchen.
How about Jason Dady?
No, same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah,
okay.
No, they came on and started doing all this stuff. And I was like, oh, good. Somebody else in town.
How about the chef? First name was Michael, I believe, that took over Polo after you left.
Bomber?
Oh, Michael Bomber?
Yeah.
I thought he had left before that. He went down to the Four Seasons then. Yeah. Mike Bomberg, is he coming? I can't remember.
He may, yeah. He's incredibly busy. They have Spice of Life Catering and does an incredible job out at their venue, which used to be Jason Dadia's place,
Right.
the old castle.
Right.
So they have that venue. So on a Tuesday, we might get him.
Okay.
On a Friday, Saturday, we wouldn't. He'd be too busy for us. But
And
he's
then,
really
and as he had all those great jobs and opened Spice of Life, that he never actually worked in the Biga kitchen after that. But again, lots of people were in there.
Where's Jeff now? Jeff White.
Jeff White, he's looking for a position right now. I guess he's talking to somebody. Luke Holland from who was up at the Spurs.
Right.
Right. He's
He had Folk,
Mhm.
and then was at and was at Fig Tree. I think.
Do you think you're a natural born teacher, Bruce?
oh no.
Well, there was something going on in that kitchen beyond the chef, stereotypical chef yelling and, everything that one hears about a fast-paced kitchen. But obviously a lot of people felt like they were in the right place to learn how to do it themselves someday, not just be line cooks or sous chefs or whatever. But
I think it's more in the, and it's probably the same in a lot of different industries. It's interviewing the right people.
Mhm.
And I've hired some people that had never cooked before, and you could tell the determination that they're going to do something. Now that brings to mind somebody else who's coming in, Trisha. She was my chef at Auden's Kitchen.
Last name?
Yes.
Winkers. That was her maiden name.
Maiden name, Sidell.
Sidell. Yeah, well done.
Okay.
Between the two of us, we can get a name right now and again.
That's why we both here, not just one. So she said, and again, I forget a lot of things, but she said she applied for the position and really had very little experience. And I said, yeah, you're going to work sauté. And sauté is, somewhat thought of as the most difficult position in the kitchen. And I put her on that station and she did fantastic. And then after that, when we opened Auden's Kitchen, Stone Oak, she was my chef. So it's a lot about what you see in a person, not if they're a good cook or maybe a good manager, but it's more about what you see as the potential that they have and what they're looking for.
So you don't necessarily look to see whether or not somebody's resume says the Culinary Institute of America or another elite.
I don't hold that
School.
against them.
I walked right into that one.
You did.
No, it's great if they've been. It's great if they've been to the school and they even they're more eager for a job because they've got so many expenses they have to pay off. But
Their college debt.
yeah, but no, I've hired people that have just thought they wanted to get into the business, and I always try to persuade them not to, and then if they keep at it, and I'll give them a job. So
when we talk about the years that you guys showed up to San Antonio, we're a little bit more than double the size population-wise that we were when I came in '89. It's just remarkable, the pace of growth, and if anything, it's accelerated. It's not slowing down. And I wonder what you think about the culinary scene now and compared to when you first got here, and how surprising has it been, or has it been such organic growth over the years that it all fits?
Well, I think the people that brought me down here and opened the Fairmont Hotel had a lot to do with changing the culinary scene. It didn't matter if it was going to be me or some other chef came in. They really had a focus on what they wanted to do, which was not unlike in other cities, Dallas, Houston, on the coast. So they knew what they wanted to do. And then, when we as a team set sort of a benchmark there, then it encouraged people to come in and see what we're doing. It encouraged young cooks, chefs to come into San Antonio and work at different places. So they had a lot to do with it. So I owe a lot to them. And I think San Antonio owes a lot to them. But after that, when you get, it did get, like you say, organic. You get people like Andrew and Jason, and with all this energy and wanting to be the best and the top of their profession, and it's great. You just see that happening. And so many restaurants now compared to when we came here. you could pick up Texas Monthly and count the number of restaurants, and they didn't just list the expensive restaurants; they did the burgers and the
tacos and
and all the ethnic foods. And I think I went to every ethnic restaurant in San Antonio when I got here. Now you couldn't do that in a year. There's just so many. So it's great to see it grow. It's grown differently than, say, Austin, in which I think I prefer our growth than Austin's growth.
Well, we don't have the economy and the population with disposable income that Austin has. And so you could go up there and have to wait for a table on a Monday or Tuesday night. And that's not here. A lot of places just don't even open, or at least not after the pandemic. But I also feel like you better save your money if you're going to Austin, because it doesn't feel like Texas anymore. And, I see people all the time that are adding to San Antonio's talent pool who have been priced out of Austin, and we're happy to have them, but it's a very different world. And you can go on 2nd Street in Austin and you feel like you're in Beverly Hills or somewhere when the check comes. I want to talk a little bit about the business of restaurants with you and how it changed in the pandemic. And one of the questions I always have for people that are successful in your field is how you're keeping good staffs together. During the pandemic, we saw a huge exodus of people out of the hospitality industry. And of course, the convention business shut down, and, it was not a good time. But also people realized they might be working long hours. They might be not getting benefits. Their wages might be lower than they felt they were deserved. And so people just left the industry. And yet there are these places like yours, and I've talked to other restaurateurs who have loyal staffs that did stick around. What are you doing differently than everybody else? Or what do you think is the solution if you talk to somebody who's in your business and is not doing as well as you are with staff stability and loyalty and quality? What advice do you have for them?
Well, it was definitely hard after COVID. We, like so many other restaurants, thought, with no way we can get through this and stay open or open again. But we did, with some help from some people. But the best thing that came out of COVID for our industry is that the wages went to a decent wage. And, we didn't pay our kitchen staff as much as they were worth before COVID, because it was standard around in the industry. But now, if you go for a job in a kitchen, you're going to be able to get a decent wage, unlike before. So that's definitely the best thing, and it keeps people around now. They're not going to. A lot of times, people would leave. Oh, I can get $1 extra at this chain restaurant that just opened or something an hour. But it's not quite like that now. It was very hard the first few years, I guess. Yeah, about 2 or 3 years. It was difficult to get the staff, but it's not as hard now. It's still hard. I think everybody in the business will say it's hard to get staff that are going to stay with you for a while. But right now, we got a great kitchen staff, great front of house staff, management. I've been there, quite a few years now. Everybody from the bar, the front of the house, the kitchen. So
I've known some of your waiters, I'm going to say, for 20 years plus.
25. There's two, Ben and Chris have been there for 25 years.
Yeah.
And they will probably be there for another 25 years because they're still in great shape.
And it's we have certain groups of clientele, the people that have been coming forever, they will only have that person wait on them. They would rather wait for a table. I mean, obviously, if they've reserved, we have the notes, and we always know they've got to be at a certain table with a certain waiter, and we'll call them if that waiter is not on the schedule that night and let them know, because their experience is driven by the people that are taking care of them that night.
So you're keeping files on us.
Oh, absolutely. We got good records.
Is that typical in the industry at higher performing restaurants, or is that something new or unusual?
I think the more information you have on a patron's likes, dislikes, preferences, the better job you're going to do for them. I mean, and that's what we want to do, is have you leave happy at the end of your meal. And if a certain personality matches with you better than someone else, we want to know that, so we don't put you with someone that's maybe more formal and you like a more chatty, friendly form of service. So there's a whole range, and we've got a whole range of people that are very classically trained as wait staff, and some that just wing it. and there's someone for everyone. And having that good match is very important to how an evening goes, I think.
So was the decision made, Bruce, and Perny, that, look, we're going to have to raise prices here to take better care of the employees? There's just no way around it. And of course, we had quite an inflationary period and still feeling the after effects of that after the pandemic. And so the price of everything went up. And
we don't open for brunch, though. That helps.
Is that right?
Not usually. No, we don't do a lot of egg service. So that's one of the things.
Is there not much profit in brunch?
We loved doing brunch for a while, but then we were in the fortunate position that our private dining part of the business became so successful that we could cut out day hours. And so our staff was just happier, not working doubles, etc.
I think that if every restaurant had put up their menu prices in comparison with their costs are, everybody would be overpriced, and you just couldn't do it. So there's not as much, the profit margin had to go down a bit because we couldn't charge what
you couldn't pass along all that cost.
Not all that, no. And then, more wages, price of even the to-go boxes, things like that, everything went up so much. And you can't just say, okay, I'm going to raise another heavy entree, another $5, because it's just, I think we're very reasonable for what we're doing. And like you're talking about other cities, Austin, Dallas, our price point is a lot lower than theirs.
I want to ask you whether or not it really means anything that we're a UNESCO city of gastronomy. And I wonder, because you are downtown, that not only do you have your loyal base of local clients, customers, but people coming in from elsewhere. And I wonder, Perny, do you ever hear somebody say, I guess I would call them a culinary visitor or tourist, that they're here because they've read about San Antonio or that status?
I don't think we've really had that. Do you?
Yeah, we have. We get, Perny goes home at 6:00.
Unless there's a really big event going on.
The truth is coming out here slowly but surely.
My new job is to talk to more people in the restaurant now, because I've got such a good team in the back. So yeah, once you start talking to people, you find out that they've heard about, like you say, about the culinary scene in San Antonio, or specifically Biga, or they went to another restaurant like maybe Clementine, and then they suggested they come down and we do exactly the same thing. You don't expect to see people
Repeating,
2 days in a row, but sometimes they do.
Yeah.
So we're always giving them recommendations of other places. But yeah, people come now, especially this time of year, people are coming into town to eat around and to obviously take in the sights that we have.
And I think that what Bruce is saying about one restaurant referring to another restaurant, I think San Antonio is quite unusual in that we're very supportive of each other. We're not the right match for everybody, but we know somebody who is. So that's been, I think, the nice. We're not a cutthroat bunch of people in the industry. We would rather bring other people up, and the more restaurants we have, the more quality restaurants we have, it's better for everybody, and we all benefit from that.
Amen.
Yeah.
We just had the leadership of San Antonio sports in the podcast studio. They're days away from the Final Four and the huge madness that's going to. Do you welcome those events, or are they so overwhelming you kind of wish they weren't happening?
No, we absolutely love them.
Okay, so you'll be busy.
We'll be busy. There are so many corporate groups that do things, and everyone's vying for space, and then it's a very unusual business because some of these people don't know if they're coming to town. You know, how they get
Well, nobody knows it yet,
thousands and
right?
thousands of people from one area to come, you know, to these events. And they're sort of, yeah, we'd like to, but we can't commit. And so we will find out what our end business is like 2 days before, just like everybody else.
Yeah, it's
And then
literally
it's
a
a
mad
mad
rush.
scramble. Yeah.
But
which
you'll
is-
you'll have people trying to buy the restaurant out night after night while the teams are in town and all the corporate sponsors and so forth.
We will have a night or two of buyouts, yes, but otherwise we'll be doing our events up on that third floor room that we have. That's one we rent from the city, and we can seat 200 up there. So most of these things are mingle and network, and they all want to be in front of each other all the time, and a lot of fun. Their Final Four people are really fun. I mean, they're here to have a good time, support their team, they explore the city, they're spending money, and they're pleasant. And if we have weather like we've got right now, they are in hog heaven.
Especially if they're from a university city in the north or
Exactly.
where Midwest where it's still winter.
They're so happy roaming around in their shorts and t-shirts. It's
What
great.
about
It's funny how you put that question because we're looking forward to it and everything. So you can look at it in two different ways. You know, front of the house, back of the house.
Yeah.
Front of the house, I think, oh, great, more tips. Back of the house, oh, we're going to work six days a week. This is going to be exhausting. And, you know, you get the same pay. That's just the way it is. We don't, some restaurants, all the tips go everywhere, but the way...
Pooling hasn't really worked out real well, though, Bruce. Has it in the industry?
Certain pooling, like the whole of the dining room, as long as they're a team, obviously every waiter thinks they're the best waiter in the room.
And that's why they're getting the most tips.
Yeah, and it's funny. They're all the best and they all get the most tips. So that's the way it goes. But it's a lot of work for the back of the house, for the kitchen, for everybody else. But I don't think that's always appreciated.
So April is whenever we have a Final Four or even a regional tournament here in the city. April becomes a crazy month because you usually have Easter and the spring break, and you usually have spring break now seems to last 3 or 4 weeks when you add it all up, and then we have Fiesta. And in my experience, there's two kinds of San Antonians during Fiesta. There's the insane metal collectors and cascarone breakers. And then there's people going, I want to get out of here for 10 days.
Yeah.
So what's Fiesta like for a downtown restaurant?
I don't think we see a lot of locals other than River Parade night. We have a lot of groups come in, and people that come to the same place every year, same table, pretty much, you know, that's their tradition and that's where they want to spend the time. And that's great. And then we've got some corporate groups that entertain. The rest of it is usually a bit slow because our sort of regulars often don't want to come downtown and deal with the traffic. And a lot of the regulars will come in and have a drink or so and park and then go get a turkey leg. So there's a range. There are mariachi boats going around as well those evenings, which is really lovely for the visitors. They can sit on that balcony and just be serenaded, you know, as the boats float along. So I think we could do more local business if people weren't so scared to come downtown. And parking is not that bad.
No, it isn't. That's kind of, I don't know. That's a really dated complaint in my mind.
Yeah,
There's never been more parking down here. Last night, my wife and I parked free. We went out and it's Tuesday night and all the public parking is free.
Yeah. That's why our party's on a Tuesday night too.
Well, there you go. Reason. So there's another reason to go. And actually, we're coming up here on time. And I thought what we would do is end the way we started and let you plug the event one more time for people that might not be listening to the whole podcast. But April 22nd, which is a Tuesday, and they can go on Biga.com and look for the tickets and decide whether or not they want to join in the celebrations for 25 years, right?
Absolutely. I think it will be a really fun evening. It's a beautiful venue. If you haven't been there in the evening when the light goes down, it's a charming room. We're very fortunate with our location. The city have been great landlords. And We just want to celebrate that we've managed to get to 25 years. We planned to do a 20th, and that was COVID. About 2 weeks later, we were closed down, just like everybody else.
This is delayed gratification.
So, yeah, we got to make up for it now.
Well, you guys treated me so nicely in 1989 in very separate
different
ways.
places.
And, my family, we celebrated both of our boys' high school graduations at Biga on the Banks and have had many good nights there. And we look forward to seeing you April 22nd. So congratulations and thanks for coming on to Big City, Small Town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely to talk with you.
Please share this episode with friends and colleagues and do sign up for Monday Musings, our weekly newsletter at bigcitysmalltown.com. Big City Small Town is brought to you by Weston Urban, building the city our children want to call home, and Geekdom, where startups are born and smart ideas become businesses. Our producer is Corey Ames, video by Erica Rempel, and sound engineering by Alfie De La Garza of Sound Crane Audio. We will see you next week.